Attention Austin musicians and music industry professionals. Are you having a difficult time navigating these waters, especially after the coronavirus and all the clubs have been closed? You don't know what to do? Well, let me tell you about a great resource for you. That's the Austin Music Foundation. Austin Music Foundation provides ongoing artist development services through its educational panels, one-on-one consultations, and online resources. Now listen, gang, all of that stuff is available to you, the artist or music industry professional, for free. And since coronavirus hit back in March and everything is closed down, Austin Music Foundation had the forethought to move all of their programs online. That's right, you can watch panels online, you can do your consultations online. Austin Music Foundation is there for you, and it's all free to you, the artist. Just go to austinmusicfoundation.org. That's austinmusicfoundation.org. Get involved. Hey gang, we all know Spotify has become the ultimate app destination for music lovers. I have an account and I love it. I find new music by following Tastemaker playlists, and I make my own playlist that I share featuring music from guests that has been on the show. But did you know that aside from millions of songs, Spotify now has all of your favorite podcasts, including How Did I Get Here? Yes, all of your podcasts are available on Spotify. Just go to Spotify.com or download the app from your app store, and don't forget to follow How Did I Get Here? That's Spotify. Millions of songs, thousands of podcasts. Let's get down.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
It's time for How Did I Get Here? And now here is your host,
All right, hello, I'm Johnny. I'm your host. Welcome to the show. I hope you guys all had a good weekend, whatever it is you did this weekend. I had a good weekend. I spent the weekend in Houston with my grandmother. I've been going back and forth the last couple of weeks because she fell on July 4th and broke 4 ribs and had to have emergency spleen surgery. And so anyway, she's 98. So there's a rotation of family members going through there. My Aunt Olga lives with her. And my Aunt Christina comes out, my cousin Jennifer, me, my cousin Emily. We're all helping out, spending the night, helping take care of the great matriarch of our family, the great Abita. So, man, she had to go to the emergency room last week too, or not to the emergency room, actually spent the night in the hospital on Tuesday last week because she was having some pressure in her chest that felt weird and it was making her very uncomfortable. And so anyway, she got out on Wednesday. So I was there over the weekend helping take care of her. And, man, she has her moments. Obviously, she's got a lung thing, so she coughs a bunch in the morning, so that irritates the 4 broken ribs that she has. So there's like a pain management thing throughout the day with like Tylenol and like, we have to write down the times because everyone's trying to help out, but everyone's a little loopy as well. So everyone's writing down the times they're taking the thing and, helping her to the bathroom and letting her walk around because she's got to do something, right? She's got to still do stuff kind of to stay in some kind of shape. So she takes some walks around the house. And anyway, it's great getting to spend that time with her is what I'm trying to say. And I know that she's only going to get so much better, right? She's 98. She was already kind of like, you start going down a little bit, no matter how good you're doing. And she's doing great, for someone her age in that situation. Still has a sense of humor for some parts of the day. Anyway, so that's what I've been doing over the last couple of weeks. It's been taking up a lot of time, a lot of energy because, I care a lot about my grandma and we're very, very close. So this has been, it's been an emotional time. I've been trying to keep it together, trying to be strong there for everyone and especially for her. Let her know that, how much I love her, what she means to me, and all that stuff. So that's what I've been up to. It's been a long couple of weeks, but I'm back here in Austin and I'm doing stuff. Skyrocket's playing this weekend. It's weird with all the numbers going up and people getting infected again, but people that have been vaccinated, even people I know, 3 people I know. So that's a little weird. I hope that everything's still safe out there. I hope you guys are keeping safe. I hope you're getting vaccinated. If you're not, please get vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated, please get vaccinated. My dad wasn't vaccinated. Neither were two of my brothers or one of my sisters. And my two brothers and my dad got the COVID. My dad luckily had underlying issues. This was just last week as well. Craziness. Actually, we started talking again. Yeah. We hadn't talked since March of 2020. And we actually started talking again. My sister, Anna, called me from the hospital and was like, oh, Dad's in the hospital. He's got COVID. But they have some experimental things for people of his age. He's 75. He's got some underlying health issues. He's got diabetes, hypertension, neuropathy. So he got to do this antibody transfusion thing, which ended up working out. And he didn't get very, very bad off with COVID. And it went away real fast. Kind of like the thing that Donald Trump did last year. Anyway, so yeah, it's been a crazy couple of weeks. Anyway, I hope you're staying safe out there. Hope you're wearing your mask. If you're vaccinated or if you're not, got to keep the mask on. Keep the social distancing. I know it was great to start hugging everyone again, but I even moved all my podcasts this week over to Zoom again. Just to be safe, You never know. You never know. Gang, I have a great show for you guys today. Anastasia Hera has a brand new EP out called This Is Anastasia. It just came out. You can find her at anastasiahera.com. She plays melodic trap music. She's amazing, man. She's a great singer, a great rapper, great songwriter. She's also a model and an actress. And this EP, it took some time to make this EP. It was recorded over the course of 3 years, and now it's finally out. You can go find it wherever you stream or download your jams. And she is celebrating with an EP release show next Wednesday, July 28th at Geraldine's right here in Austin. So go to anastasiahera.com to get involved with Anastasia. We have a great conversation about her journey as a musician. She's a mom. She's a songwriter. She's just very, very, very cool. And her music is absolutely fantastic. Go out there and check out her EP, This Is Anastasia, out now. And if you live in Austin, go out to Geraldine's next Wednesday, July 28th, for her release show, her EP release show. Go to anastasiahera.com for all of your Anastasia Hera needs. And without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with the fabulously talented and such a great hang, Anastasia Hera. Let's get down.
I could never comprehend. I could never comprehend little ponds, how you swim, big tuna. I'm infatuated with the life. I belong in the pond where the whales get it on, down deep on the floor, waiting for my time. Real shit, big facts. Little fishy might find that I don't fit in, cause I went and got big fat. Eating good and
You never know.
I have a sister named Anastasia, but it's Anastasia.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. See, I got the boring American pronunciation.
But you could change it. You could just tell people that it is Anastasia.
I could, but I grew up with it as, my parents telling me it's Anastasia. So, and then my nickname is Stacy. I grew up as Stacy. So,
Hers is Tasha.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Dope.
I
don't meet too many Anastasias.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is this low enough? This is about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If I sit up. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a good, let me just say something again.
Check.
Okay. Yes. Oh, no, I'll leave it like that. Mm-hmm. So, Big Tuna.
Yes.
This song has taken off.
Right?
How did it take off? How do you know, how do you make a song? You know what I mean? Like, you're always trying to make one of those songs, one of your kids.
Right.
Go to graduate school and be a doctor.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Or a lawyer. How did you, you know what I mean? Because when you hear it, you're like, well, of course, that song has a hit value to it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and sometimes it's not the ones that you want, to go off to medical school or whatever. Right. It's the ones you least expect. I think for this one, though, it's a little different from a lot of my work in that I really don't do a whole lot of flexing in my music, really. You know what I mean? Usually it's not about me. It's not about, but
really quickly, what I like is it's a lot about us.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I like about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so even in this in this particular song, when I'm flexing, it's kind of a joint flex. You know, it's like, I feel this way, but I know you do too.
Right.
So, and I think that is what's made it catch on to so many people. Like that feeling, I hope is universal about, you know, feeling like a big fish in a small pond, about dreaming big and wanting more.
Right. Well, how did it get to, like, how did it end up in the Billboard Top 200?
Well, I actually...
And has it climbed more than 83? Did it go higher?
I believe that it has. You know, I get the emails once a week that tell me what my chart positions are and for such and such station and what this area. And then I get digital numbers. It's a lot of numbers.
Yeah.
And really, you know, and so as long as people like it, I'm happy, you know. And even, you know, as an artist, I'm like, okay, what's the next song I can write? What's the next thing? Because Big Tuna's kind of, not that it's old, but to me, you know, I recorded it over a year ago. And you know how that feels. You know, you're ready to move on and do something new. But as far as I know, it's climbing, it's connecting, which is the most important thing. Yeah.
There's a lot of that it seems like in your whole, everything you do is for a greater good.
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of your stance or your philosophy as an artist.
It is. I'm glad you picked up on that.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I don't have this voice and platform and ability and this access for no reason. You know, I want to utilize it to the best and biggest of my abilities, you know. And
what is that? Like what?
I want people to feel good.
Yeah.
You know, the way that music makes you feel good. I want people to get that from, you know.
To empower them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I steer away from any competition and negativity. And that was it's kind of a strange place to come from as a rap artist, because so much of the genre is built on that I'm better than you. And a lot of machismo and a lot of bravado and a lot of trash talking. And I'm like, it's really not me, you know, so I have to bring my own kind of thing to the game. And I'm happy that people see that and they get it and it's obvious. And I don't have to be anything other than like what I am all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that you, what was the video? Oh, the video for Big Tuna.
Yes.
You're at Music Lab and stuff. Or not Music Lab, at Space.
We were at Space. You're right. Yeah. Good eye. Yeah. That was 7 different locations, I believe. And I wrote out the screenplay for that. My idea was to have it be like a continuous tracking shot, right? Like a day in the life. Like I walk out the door at the studio, I walk in the door at the gym, out the door at the gym, in the, you know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think we did the best we could with it. It was a little, everything that I do is ambitious, probably more ambitious than it needs to be.
That's good.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Right. Because that means we're growing. Like with everything that I put out.
You're pushing yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's important.
You're not going to be complacent. That's the enemy of the artist.
Exactly.
Complacency.
Yep. Definitely. Never want to stagnate.
No.
Right.
No. Mm-hmm. Where are you from?
I am from Austin. I was actually born at Lackland. My dad always gets on me. He's like, you're not a native Austinite. I was born at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio.
Okay.
But Austin is all I've ever known. I've been here since I was, 2? And I love it here. Austin made me like who I am as an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What how did you come up? Did you come up engaged in what was happening musically here?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
But my dad's a radio personality with community radio and community television. So I grew up around
Where, KUT?
KAZI actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And then, we did some work with Co-op when it first started back in the day. So I've always been around creativity and expression, and then music sort of peripherally, but I'm the only one in my family that has decided that I'm a music or a recording or performing artist.
Your dad was in the Air Force?
Yes.
And your mom?
Was not.
Just a mom?
Yeah.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I am an only child.
You are?
I am an only child.
Wow.
Actually, I was raised by my stepmother, and she has a daughter. So I have a stepsister, but she didn't come here until it was time to go to UT. So I was really kind of raised in my own bubble with my own thoughts and having to entertain myself a lot. So I wouldn't trade it for the world. I love it. Yeah. Because, when things happen, we just went through a pandemic and, people were forced to spend a lot of time with themselves and their things, It wasn't a difficult transition for me at all.
That's amazing. And your mom?
I am.
What's your child is
I have 2 boys.
2 boys?
Yes.
You have 2 boys?
Yes.
Wow. How old are they?
Do you really want to know? They're grown. Yeah.
They're grown?
25 and 17. My youngest will be 18 in 3 months.
But you're 25.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. But I started early. So I like to say I put the cart before the horse. I did the family thing first, and then I got to the music later. When I was able, when I had time.
Yeah. So 25 and what?
18. 17. He's 17.
Wow.
He'll be 18 in a few months.
Do they live here?
Yeah. We all live together.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's
That's
an
awesome.
It's a beautiful thing. It really is.
So they were there to keep you. You didn't have to explain what a pandemic. I thought you had like little kids, and you had to be like, "Well, what's happening is," and the reason why you can't go to a place without a mask on is, you know what I mean?
Not at all.
That would have been
Not at
awful.
all.
Can you imagine?
No, I can't. And I don't think I'd be where I am now had I had all of that on me to explain and put up with and worry about. You know, they're definitely old enough to, you know, my oldest, he works from home. I work from home. You know, we kind of have our thing. But it gave me a lot of time to myself. I've always had a lot of time to myself, but it gave me a lot of time to myself to kind of develop. You know, I was already working from home. I've been working from home since 2008, right? So I'm like, okay, now everybody's at home. We're kind of all on this level playing ground. What can I do extra? What can I do now to get ahead and make some strides in my career? So that's what I focused on doing.
So you recorded this during the pandemic?
Yes, most of it. There's one single Ceiling that I actually recorded in 2018.
Okay.
And I wasn't going to include it on this project, but I just signed with management at the beginning of this year. He's like, no, you're crazy. Put it out. You know, it's all produced by the same producer. So there's a cohesiveness to it.
Right.
And why not? You know, it's new to other folks, even though it's not new to you. But yeah, for the rest of the project, that was really the only place that I went for about 3 to 4 months was this grocery store in the studio. I was in the studio once a week, just trying to get it done.
You guys did a great job. Who's the guy you wrote this stuff with? Ty on the track?
Yep, Ty on the track. Well, you know, every few months, and we started doing this in about 2017, he'd send me like a big dump of tracks and just say, okay, well, whatever you hear, just write to it. And I just loved having the access to, you know, all these different
awesome.
moods and feelings. Yeah, and it's cool to have someone believe in you enough to say, hey, this is my material. These are my babies. Now do what you will with them. And, you know, I trust you to do your best and work them and do something great with them. So that really helped a lot. But yeah, he sends over the production. I write to it. I get it recorded and it's a wrap. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you ever send him stuff he doesn't like? And he's like, Anastasia.
Well, it's funny. It's
But
funny.
does he send you anything you don't like where you're like,
Well, I'm picky. You know, not every piece of music that I listen to is going to inspire something in me. I don't always hear anything.
Right.
And sometimes it's even like one little small instrument or one little chord change. It's like, I can't even listen to it. Next track. So, you know, he's got his hits and misses with me. And I'm sure it's the other way around. There was a time when we were meeting, or I was sending him my work, or he was kind of reviewing where I was at. And it's one thing to present your work, incomplete work, to people, you know, when it's at a level that you're comfortable, that, you know, they're going to like it.
Right.
But it's another thing to not know how it's going to land with folks, and then to be in the same room with them, and then just kind of, you know, you don't want to stare at them, but you
Right.
pick up on their body language and you pick up on changes. Are they moving? Are they nodding their heads?
Yeah.
So there were a few tracks that we did like that. And it was really, really nerve wracking, but I also appreciated the honesty. And usually all the time, 99% of the time, the feedback that I got was just to make the work better.
Yeah.
And as long as I remained open to that, the work was improved. And that we
Right.
had that experience with a few of the tracks on this project.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go back. So you're a
Okay.
kid. You're here in Austin.
Yes.
What are you listening to musically?
Oh my God.
Like when did music? Do you remember when you connected with music and you were like,
Yeah.
I want to do that?
Well, I remember the feeling of music being magic when I first, I believe, was listening to Earth, Wind and Fire.
Yeah.
You know, really loud on these speakers. And I'm like, well, you know, it felt magical.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I grew up kind of just, again, peripherally hearing things. My dad would go through these phases. You know, he'd be in like a really distinct classical phase. So I'd get attached to that. And then, you know, my stepmom, we were cleaning the house every Saturday to like Al Green. And I'm listening to that, you know, all these different things. And then in 5th grade, I had to do a report on a classical composer. I chose Franz Liszt. Went out and we bought
That's an
cassette
odd guy
tapes.
to just.
It is.
What made you
but
pick him? Did you hear something of his you liked, or you just picked a guy?
I think he might have just been randomly assigned to me. But I got into the music and I listened to all the Hungarian Rhapsodies, and I think at that moment I fell in love with the idea that instruments and sounds and melodies could tell a story, a vivid story in your mind.
Yeah.
And even now when I sit down and I listen to, and I'm picky about it, it has to be the all piano version. I don't like the full symphony versions or anything. It's got to be the piano. It still brings back these images, you know, I still get that feeling. So, you know, they're just this, and then of course being in Austin, right? You know, you walk down 6th Street and, you know, you're liable to hear all kinds of different, you know, influences. So in between church, you know, I can't ever discount going to nightclubs. When I first started going to clubs, I'm like, whoa, what is this? I remember hearing, Outkast Rosa Parks in the club for the first time, and you know the breakdown where everyone starts playing. You know, I'm like, wow, like this is crazy. So I think just growing up here and being exposed to all the things that I think we're normally exposed to, where we normally meet music at, I just fell in love with it. And then once I figured that I had a talent for words, I was like, oh yeah, this is me. Yeah.
So how old were you then?
I want to say 12.
Okay.
Yeah, I discovered rap. East Coast rap, A Tribe Called Quest, you know, and you know, go ahead.
Well, there's a movement that they're part of.
So it was like them and the Jungle Brothers and like a few different groups. Well, and
there was a group of a whole like scene of rappers like De La Soul and stuff like that. Guys that didn't wear gold, and like talked more about community and building each other up as opposed to tearing other people down. Right.
And it was like diametrically opposed to like what we were getting from the West Coast and NWA. And don't get me wrong, I had that music
badass
too.
Stuff. Yeah.
I love it.
It all has its place, but I do connect. And if I were to make music, I would want to be in that sort of world as well.
Right. Well, yeah, that, you know, all of a sudden now storytelling is like, oh, we can tell stories like this now. Oh, you know, there's this jazz element now. We're experimenting with different instruments. And so I think that's what really made me want to create and then share.
Right.
Yeah.
So when did you write like your first song or something? Do you remember that?
The first songs that I wrote for myself were in that same age range, maybe 12, 13. I'd write at home. And then we had a basketball court right across the street from our house. So I get over there with all the boys and we'd all take turns kind of presenting our raps.
Oh, really?
And if they were good, you know, they'd give you your props and say, oh, yeah, that was dope. That was dope. If it was bad, you know, they'd laugh. And it was embarrassing. But that was the inspiration to go back and write something better and say, well, you know what? They can't laugh at this. I'm going to kill it tomorrow, you know. And there was that. And then, of course, you know, being in high school, you know, we'd beat on the tables and have these lunchtime ciphers and sessions and all that was really fun. But I didn't step into a recording booth to record a song until I was 30.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, having kids and, you know, I had my first son 2 weeks before I turned 18.
Wow.
So all of my 20s and, you know, my 30s, all of that was going into finding some stability and raising him and raising them once my second one came along. And again, once I felt like I was in a good enough place, a solid enough place, I said, okay, well, now here's this thing that I've kept inside of me for this long. Let me try it. Let me see where it goes. Let me see if, you know, if I record this song, whether anybody will like it. And they did. And just avalanche from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonder if you were just working on it in your mind the whole time without even like subconsciously kind of like preparing yourself mentally. They say you have to live
your material.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I think about it, had I had the opportunity even 10 years ago,
you wouldn't have had as much to say.
I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have the confidence.
Yeah.
I didn't have the voice to do it. And now I find that I do.
What do you think? Did you take any kind of lessons or anything? Do you mean singing voice or just like voice in general?
My writing voice.
Writing voice. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that too. This the way I vocalize.
Right.
You know, even with rap, I had to find my voice to do that. You know, so I still want to. I think that's my dream. If I were to get my 8 hours back a day, I'd probably take voice lessons, guitar lessons, and probably some acting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you play any instruments?
I I started out with piano, taking piano lessons, and I don't mess with it too much anymore because there's so many people that are so good. I mean, they lapped me a long time ago, but I still enjoy creating. I've started messing around with creating beats in Logic.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah, it is fun. And, at the very least, now I can get my ideas out and I can send it to somebody else and say, hey, let's, can you perfect this? Can you polish this? Can we work together on it? So it's been really empowering.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you had your first son before you were 18.
Yes.
And what did you do? Like your life? What, like life-wise?
I went to school.
You went to school?
Yeah, I went to ACC off and on for years, like forever. And then I said, well, I'm going to try to get into UT. I got into UT. And I did really well there for 4 semesters. But I didn't have the support. I didn't utilize my support system. I was there. I was in a different place than all the other students, already being a parent,
right.
already
Those
being a
kids
couple
are all
years
smoking
older.
weed and having the time of their life.
I wasn't part of the social scene or the party scene or any of that.
Right.
And eventually I was like, well, maybe this is not for me at this time. So I backed off of that. But school, and job until I found Apple. So I went to work at Apple when my second son was about 6 months old, and I've been there ever since.
What do you do there?
I started out doing customer service, phone stuff. But now I do research for like proof of coverage type stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of back end. It's pretty cool and self-paced and,
it's quiet.
Yes, absolutely. I don't have to go out of my bubble. I can do a little work here. Oh, I've got a song idea. Let me do this. Let me turn on the mic and record something real quick. So it's been a lifesaver for me. I don't know how I would have done it having to go and, put on normie clothes and report to an office every day. I don't think it would work.
Have you worked from home since the beginning?
2008. So
Since
4
you started
years
working
in.
with, okay.
4 years in. Yeah.
There was like a call center or something at first that you had to go to?
Yeah, actually, yes. And then, they've got this big fancy campus out on Palmer Lane. They don't even want us there.
No.
They're like, well, if something breaks, just ship it to us and we'll ship you a replacement. So, it's been cool though.
I just think about this Oracle place. Like this place, they finished building it right as the pandemic started. And I don't think there's ever been anyone there.
Really? Well,
just security guards in an empty parking lot.
Yeah, they should probably get on that and get some bodies in there to make it worth whatever money they put into it, right?
I mean, it's pretty big.
Where is it?
It's on Lakeshore.
Really?
Yeah. It's like 3/4 of a mile up on Lakeshore on the right. You can't miss it. It's
really?
huge. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Are you a techie person? Were you a techie person? Like, what made you want to go to Apple? You're like, oh shit, that has insurance. Like you had to think about stuff completely differently than other people your age at that time. Like you have kids, who knows what's going to happen?
Right. Yeah. The stability definitely having insurance, it has made all the difference. But yeah, just having a stable place to be. And then of course they did like tuition reimbursement.
That's
and
awesome.
There were access to all these different resources. So it's more than just an employer to me. It's been like my foundation. And like I was saying, it's what's enabled me to be able to pursue music the way that I have. That's great.
Mm-hmm. So, okay. So when you were 30 and you started doing music and everything,
right?
You put out some, who did you play with? Did you have to look in the paper to find some people to play with or something? Or how did you?
You know what? I was fortunate enough. I was in a relationship with the musician. And I wasn't even thinking about doing music. I didn't take his music seriously. I'm like, oh, okay, it's just a thing that you do. And then at that time, he moved to LA and started writing. And eventually, I was hearing the songs that they were writing and thinking to myself, you know what? I think I want to try that. I just want to try it just to see what happens. And so they started sending me tracks and including me in those email circles and stuff. And I would write out the tracks and find a way to demo them at home on my little rudimentary equipment in GarageBand or whatever I was using at the time. And I was getting really good responses on the work that I was doing.
Yeah.
So eventually, I think it took another year to a year and a half before I said, you know what, I think I want to try to write a rap verse and maybe perform it and record it and just see how it sounds. So that's how I started writing for other people and then just building my confidence and just getting reacquainted with the feeling of songwriting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Singing on a microphone and stuff, because all that's really different.
It is different.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I was around people who were willing to teach me.
Right.
Which is, priceless.
Priceless.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you have when did you start the Heroes?
Ooh. So
Anastasia and the Heroes.
Those guys I've kind of been playing off and on with over the last 2 years or so, just loosely, casually. But over the pandemic, you know, when I told you I decided, hey, I've got to do something different. We got to step out a different way, you know, while everyone else is kind of resting. You know, we got to be doing something. I started doing virtual shows. I did a virtual show at Safe House ATX.
Oh, cool.
And that was almost a year ago on my birthday last July. And that was our first show as the Heroes. And we just built from there, you know, October, December, January, we just kept having things just pop up, or we had to create those opportunities. We did Purple Bee TV. And the more we perform as a group, the better the music gets, the better the vibe, the energy, you know how all of that feels.
Yeah.
So it's been almost a year for Anastasia and the Heroes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
They're still, that's who you're playing with this weekend?
Yes.
And everything. You do all your shows. You said off and on, when you don't play with them, how do you perform this music? To tracks?
Well, yes. Well, starting out as a rap artist.
Right.
You know, and I played with several musicians around town. But that's generally how I was performing, with just me and a DJ or me and tracks. Right. But, you know, it's not the same. You know, we had to evolve and progress somehow, and then just having access to those musicians, and then they get to know me, they're fans of mine. So when they play the music, they're invested, you know, and then we start creating together. So it was just like a natural, organic thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
it is.
really awesome. Mm-hmm. Is it difficult because like what you do is very produced, and it's those beats are like, or are very specific, and when you turn that over to a band,
yes,
it can become normal sounding, right? It's hard to keep that sort of uniqueness.
It is. I
mean, it just does. That's the difficult thing in what you're doing musically, is to take that, what you're recording, and try and make that translate live without just a rock and roll band or a soul band or an R&B band or something.
That's one thing that we're working on, which is why I'm glad that we've got these, like, this series of shows lined up. You know, last Wednesday, this Wednesday, we're doing some Black Fret stuff, and then this Saturday, and then on the 28th. I'm glad that we have all these shows in quick succession, because now that we've started playing the new material, you know, the guys, they're like, oh, well, you know, it's just a loop and we're just going to play, you know, they are looking for opportunities to bring their own artistic, you know, to put their stank on it, you know, for lack of a better phrase. Which is important,
but also there has to be some sort of respect paid to the original thing that you made.
Yes, I agree. It has to be recognizable. So now this is a product that I'm promoting and selling and pushing. It has to be recognizable to fans. So when they hear it in this live venue, and then they maybe happen to hear it on Spotify somewhere, they can say, oh, that's the same song. It's got to sound, you know, at least somewhat the same. Yeah. So, you know, we're trying to find that compromise between us playing what it should sound like, and then them being able to express themselves as musicians. So we're still figuring it out, and you know, the more we do it, the better shape it takes.
Right? Is it 100% live, or is there tracks?
So my musical director, there are certain elements that he'll leave in. So we'll get the track outs, you know, with the beat, and if there's a particular drum pattern or, you know, instrument that he likes, that he feels like contributes to the overall sound, he'll leave it in there. Yeah. So it's a mixture, but it's mostly the live sound.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's tough, because the thing with like R&B and rap and pop is that they kind of sound too expensive to be done in a bar. You know, like the
right.
Granted, they're recorded, their sound systems and PAs and shit are becoming way more sophisticated, and you can plug your computer. But like, there was a point where you'd have to get like a direct box and like put it into there, and it's going into some analog thing with some guy that you don't know what he's going to do with it.
Right.
He doesn't know what you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It just, there's too much chance
it's super
for like
polished
disaster. There's too much chance of disaster.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. But you know, I've grown to love rolling with those punches, And, I think part of the appeal of, being able to do this stuff live is that, there will be imperfections and everything won't sound like it sounds on the, on the album or on the recording itself. And I think that's what makes it fun. We were listening back to the show that we performed on Wednesday, and my bass player was like, "Why are you laughing in between songs? Like, what's up with all the extra expression?" I was like, that's what gives it flavor. That's what identifies it as a live performance. Yeah.
Plus, can't you have a good time?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I hope so. That's the biggest part about it.
Yeah.
The best part. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you guys rehearse pretty regularly?
Yes. Well, we try to get in once a week, and it can be tough because, there's 6 of us. Everybody has different schedules and work schedules. And then we rehearse in Killeen because most of them live in Killeen. So that's an hour drive for me. We might not start till 10 or 10:30.
Oh,
and, I may not get back to Austin and get into bed until 4. But that's what I love about the job. Hey, I'm able to get on the road and be there. And we're able to find this time to get together. And it's worth it every single time.
Yeah. What do your kids think of it? Like, do they listen to it? That's a question I always have. Like, do your kids listen to your music, man?
You know what? They do.
That's
they
awesome.
do. Yeah. That also directs how I come across in my music, too. Because my kids listen and my parents listen. You know what I mean? So I'm always conscious of it. I still want to be me.
No.
And they know I'm going to be me. But,
I'm the guy that, like, my stepmom would call and be like, "Hey, can you make me a copy of this without those 2 songs about the necrophiliac that goes and has sex with dead people and the thing? Is there any way you can leave that out of there?"
Wow. Yeah. I mean, at least she's listening.
Yeah.
At least she's listening. Every now and then, like, I think a few weeks ago, my parents, I can tell when they have a conversation and then they decide to have the conversation separately with me. So tell me about that one picture, or tell me about that one outfit. I can tell when they kind of have questions about some stuff.
Right.
And then I have to reassure them, okay, I haven't lost my mind. I'm still the person that you raised, but I'm just expressing myself. It's art, don't overthink it. So, but it's special to me that my parents support me and that my kids support me. And then, I've got sons that don't have to, avoid my music because it might be too sexual or too risque or any of that. They listen and they share my stuff to their friends. And then, my youngest, he's just now getting to the point where he's like, he wants to write lyrics. And, what do you want, for Christmas? Some studio time. So that's a beautiful thing to see too.
Oh, that's cool.
It is cool. It is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you a pretty regular writer? Like, do you wake up every day like some people are?
No.
I
would like to be. And sometimes I get in a good place. It's like, you know what? I'm going to devote 15 minutes a day to just writing, and I'm not going to judge myself. I'm just going to create and see what happens. And sometimes I can stick to it, but there are other times where, I'm not going to pressure myself.
Right.
Because it'll come, when I hear the right thing or when the right phrase pops into my mind.
Right. There's different schools of thought. There's people that work off of the inspiration, and then there's people that work until the inspiration comes. Like, I think Neil Young has a quote where he said, like, I get inspiration from, and I write from a point of inspiration, but that inspiration only comes after I've been working on something for a couple of hours.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've felt that way too.
We're also all different.
Right.
You know what I mean? We have a
right.
different sort of way of doing stuff. I've gone through phases where I've written every day.
Yeah.
And when I've had to, like having a publishing deal and you go to Los Angeles and you have to go to like 2 different people's houses a day to write.
Yeah.
You come up with stuff.
I'm pretty sure you do, because that's intimidating for somebody like me. Like, you want me to do it on the spot? Like, what? How? But it can happen, and it does if you give yourself the opportunity. And if you, I believe, put yourself into the regular practice of at least opening up the channels and, just listening, to the universe and to yourself. I think. Yeah. So, it's.
Well, it's also, there's a way to look at it too that I believe as well.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that it's difficult to write a hit song to just, not a hit song, let's just say a great song.
Yeah.
Like say you haven't written a song in a year and you're like, I'm going to write a hit song. To me, I equate that kind of like in a sports way where I'm like, well, you don't just wake up and run the 26 miles of a marathon.
Right.
Like you run a marathon every day for a while until you're ready to actually compete. And I find that like the more I write, the better songs I have. I think that's because I just write more songs.
Right. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at least you have a starting point to go from. Sometimes I'm like, even if all I do during this 15 minutes today is, erase a word from something that I was already working on, that's progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about your nonprofit, Cake.
Yes.
How long has that been around?
Oh, wow. I want to say that I started that in 2015.
Okay.
And that came
6
about,
years.
right? People kept, that's when I was really heavy on the rap stuff. I hadn't got so much into the singing or more R&B side of things. And people kept saying, oh, we need an all-female mixtape. We need an all-female mixtape. And I realized that I had one already. Just because over the years, I was always collaborating with other female artists.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'd write songs and I'd say, hey, sis, come sing this hook. Come over and let's work on this thing together. And that was a total of 9 artists. 9 female artists.
Who were they?
So, oh my God.
Who are they?
You may know some of them. So there's Lady Shacklin. She's a reggae artist. She's out of Killeen too, really powerful voice. She's got a show coming up at Flamingo Cantina.
Nice.
So yeah, reggae and world beats. Alicia Lani,
I love
who's
Alicia.
on that. Yeah. Who else? Stacey Russell. She's got this really R&B ready, amazing performer, amazing. So, there were Kat Carter. There's just a lot of people that I had worked with and worked with in the studio, written with and for over the years.
Yeah.
Kiki Starr, Sonia Moore. And so what I did was I compiled all of the songs that we had done over the years and put it out as a project. And the reason that I decided to connect a nonprofit to it was because, I'm looking at all of our resources and all of the power that we have as a unit together. And then, listening to some of the stories as women in the industry, kind of maybe being in uncomfortable situations, and people kind of, just come to the studio, but they want you to be an accessory in the studio, not necessarily an active voice or a writer or a contributor. You know what I mean? Just all these weird. And I'm like, well, we have studios, we have microphones, we have access, we have venues. So I decided that, and also the fact that I went, 15 years of my life without writing anything, without expressing myself, through music at all. And I'm like, if I could catch somebody who's in that place, who just doesn't know what she's missing out on, what she's denying herself.
Yeah.
Yes, because she doesn't know how or doesn't know anybody that could help her.
Yeah.
I want to be that person. I want to be able to give women and girls who are interested a space and an opportunity to be able to express themselves musically.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? How does that practice happen? They find you? So
I took a step back.
Okay.
Because I
it's not super active right now.
Not at the moment. Okay. Not at the moment. But I believe that the things that I set out to do, which was mentor and assist, I have been able to continually do. So I may not have, a class of 10 girls that I'm kind of nurturing, but if I have one that I've kind of been able to guide, through certain steps, that's the work. That's the work that I set out to do. So there's always work continuing in some way, shape, or form. Right. But at some point, I needed to build my own body of work and decide what I wanted to say as an artist.
Right.
Get myself to a certain position and then continue to give back.
Right. Well, that's great.
Thanks.
I think that's really, really fantastic.
Yeah.
It's interesting because usually you go through a lot more career shit before you realize I probably need to tell some other people about this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's some disasters coming their way.
Right.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's what A&R and I are, and Alex are taking our own experience and you're never going to believe this. It's going to be terrible.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And I think just me being a parent, as long as I have, that's naturally what I want to do is, guide and help people avoid the pitfalls that I've seen so many times. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What does your older son do?
He works for LegalZoom, actually.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So, and that's what he does in the same way that I do Apple. But at heart, he's a cook.
Oh,
He's
really?
an amazing cook. He's got this amazing palate. And, sometimes I think he just quizzes himself like I'm cooking something in the kitchen. I cook like I make music, I'm like winging it and creating and in the moment. And then he'll come like from the other side of the house and he'll identify the smells.
Oh, really?
Oh, but then you added something else. Is that jalapeno? Is it some other kind of, gosh, it's crazy. But yeah, that's his creative outlet is food. He's baking bread for the neighbors and all kinds of crazy stuff. I love to see it.
Did you guys bake a lot of bread during the pandemic?
He baked enough. I don't really mess with bread because it makes me thick in the middle.
Yeah. I know that feeling.
Yeah, I'm not a bread person, but I enjoy everything he makes.
I was doing great before the pandemic.
Really? And
Weight-wise, yeah. I was doing the thing where I lost like 15 pounds in the summer of 2019 because somebody came to a show and videotaped me from below, and I woke up the next morning and they had tagged me and I was like, oh no.
Right.
No. And I like went in the kitchen and like threw away all my crackers and cookies and stuff and just like went and got salad stuff and like, chicken breasts.
Yeah, that's a great wake up call.
Started counting the calories I was eating.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Exercising every day.
Yep.
And then the COVID. And then I watched an inordinate amount of television during that time.
Didn't we all?
At least the first few months.
Right.
Like it was just kind of like 3 days would go by and I'd be like, what have I done?
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
let me clean the bathroom. That way I will have done something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an odd place to be. And I will agree with you. I wasn't in the best shape either. But once I started streaming or, doing more live, I got all my little gadgets and gadgets and iRig and all that stuff. And then watching myself back, I'm like, I don't think I like this. So, and once I start tracking the calories, it's easy.
Yeah.
Just track them, And then I live in Pflugerville and we've got some really cool trails out there. Like you can literally walk from one end of the city to the other. So I'm like, I'd be a fool not to take advantage of what I have around me. I've never really been a gym person.
No, I don't like gyms.
So I do a lot of body weight stuff at home, but it's cool.
You look fantastic.
Thank you.
You really do.
Music is the perfect, not excuse, but the perfect reason to stay in a decent amount of shape.
Yeah. First of all, it's hard to do when you're not in shape. It's hard to sing.
Right.
If you're not in shape.
Right. Yeah. And, I learned that early in my career as a rapper is that you never want to be winded on stage. I refuse to let myself get winded on stage. No. And so now I'm at this thing where, I'm a really strong rapper. I'm pretty strong as a singer. And now I'm flipping back and forth between them on stage. You know, and it's crazy because, as I've learned, you're using your voice in different ways. Like, where I come from as a rapper is a little different than where I come from as a singer.
Yeah.
So, I feel like I'm learning this skill. Like I see a lot of rap artists that try to sing and I see a lot of singers that try to rap, but I figure if I can be really great at both, then that'll be my thing. Like I'm in my own lane.
I'm so bad at rapping.
Oh, really?
I do sound like a 52-year-old white guy.
Are you serious?
When I rap, and I'm 52, and when I rap, it's like I do the whole. My name is Johnny, and I'm here to say. Yeah, that's right.
What's your favorite rap music?
I go through different phases. I'm a huge Kanye guy.
Yeah,
and I love Jay-Z. A lot of my stuff is East Coast stuff. Although, like when Ice-T first came out, I loved his first record.
Yeah.
And NWA I loved a lot. But De La Soul I think is probably De La Soul and Kanye are my favorites. And then I get turned on, to all kinds of one-off things. I don't what do you think about the rap scene here in Austin?
Here in Austin, it's
discombobulated a little bit,
oh my
right?
God. Yeah, the word I was going to use was scattered. It's all over the place. And I don't know I don't know that it needs to be more consolidated or unified. I don't know if it's possible.
Right.
Because, we've got a whole rap scene that completely ignores UT. And I know they've got their own.
They've got to have.
Right. So why are we not talking? Why are we not communicating? How are we missing?
I don't know. Who are your friends here in the rap scene?
Name one.
Kid Jones.
Yeah, well, I know all these people. Kid Jones produced a song like from my first album. Like,
really?
Yeah,
I love him.
He's dope.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, I've known and touched a lot of the personalities here. It's just, I don't know. I don't know how to explain. Maybe it's because, people always say, well, there's no Austin sound when it comes to rap.
Sorry, I just threw my pen at you. No, because did you watch the hip hop evolution on Netflix?
Some of it.
Okay.
Yes.
The one thing that I did get from that is that pretty much every episode is centered around a city's scene of whatever time they had the Atlanta time, the Houston time, Miami, New York, LA, Oakland.
Yep.
Yeah. And they did have a sound. Like Houston, the chopped and screwed thing was a sound.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even Dallas, they had a few years where there were these rap artists coming out with different dances that took off, and that was their thing. But and I think for a few different reasons. I think because being in Austin, a lot of people are definitely heavily influenced by the Houston scene, and then you got people that kind of have a West Coast thing going on or an East Coast thing going on, and we could just never really, we never really solidified anything.
But in a way, without blanketing anything, I had a lot of conversations with people last summer about this. And one of them was, Austin has had a race issue that it pretended it didn't have for a long time. And then last year, people were like, hey.
Exactly.
Look.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, it's not all 52-year-old white guys with an acoustic guitar whining because their wife left them 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do.
And that's not, and the effed up thing about the whole deal is that outside of these city limits, the style of music like the blues guitar guy or the singer-songwriter Americana record, that is nowhere near as popular as the music that is the least popular.
Right.
Does that make sense? It's like, it's backwards.
Yeah. And I tell people all the time, if you want to get any kind of recognition or make a name for yourself here in Austin, there's a certain language that you have to speak. And it usually involves having a band or having access to a band. You know what I mean?
Guitar player. It's not just tracks. Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So there's different conversations going on. So there, if you might be part of the conversation on the west side of 35, they may not have ever heard of you, but you could be, big as hell on the east side of 35 and vice versa. Yeah. And then, you've got these folks that have their favorites and these folks. I mean, there's a lot of talent here. Absolutely. No doubt. It's just that no one can agree on how we're supposed to pull it all together to make a good showing for the genre here.
Yeah. There seems to be a lot of collaboration, though, like there normally is in hip hop. That's one of the things that I've always thought was like, I didn't understand why rock didn't do more of that. Like, know.
I think the format just allows for it, just a little easier to say, hey, come do a verse.
Yeah.
And, jump back out. You know what I mean?
Well, and also there's a pretentious artistry to growing up and making like, singer-songwriter or rock music where you're this genius,
right?
And no one messes with you, or, you're doing your thing, and yeah. And
I think that such a thing exists for us as rap artists too. But you don't come out the gate like that. You earned it. You don't just get to be Kanye your first time out. You have to earn that. Yeah.
I mean, Kanye doesn't have people like he did on his records. Like in what was the 2005 Graduation?
Yes.
Was that? Yeah. Like that one just loaded with people.
Right.
Like all kinds of people.
Yeah.
Like even like the guy from Coldplay is on that record.
Yeah.
But I've always thought that I find that the thing in Austin, and I feel like, do you feel like it's getting better racially as of last year? At least
do. I feel like someone out here is actually doing the work and not just saying, hey, we support you folks, but hey, come sit in on this room, come sit in and be part of the conversation and, tell us your feedback. How do you feel about how you're treated at the venues and, by, the folks, the movers and shakers, or, I feel like questions are being asked and answered. So, and like I said, people are talking and having that conversation.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I feel like there's the bills are more diverse now.
That too.
And, people are understanding that R&B and hip hop are extremely They're the most popular styles of music
Right.
outside of our city limits.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, on the radio here.
Right.
Like, you know.
Yeah. I mean, if you popular music is rap music right now. And, I've sometimes got CNN on in the background while I'm doing stuff, and I hear trap on the commercials and on the arthritis commercials. I'm like, what is going on? But it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It's a beautiful thing. But, I don't know.
Is it tough to stay on a positive note of unity when you are actually in a struggle? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
there is that positive.
Yeah.
There's guys like Chaka showed how he felt.
Yes.
Like he was like, I'm pissed.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And he has every right to be.
Absolutely.
I mean, he has every right to be.
I'm glad he stepped out and said what he wanted to say.
Right. But
Yeah.
I noticed that some people have different styles. It seems like, you're staying on the non-negative tip. Like,
Right.
let's just try and get together and
Right.
be positive about stuff.
Yeah.
But there does have to be a certain amount of like, everyone stop what you're doing. You're
Right.
doing it wrong.
Right.
You know?
I agree. And I've kind of stayed away from being political in my music and in my dealings. If I'm asked about something or asked what my opinion is, then I'll happily give it. But I think that's just a reflection of who I am, super non-confident. All I want to do is go home and write my songs. If I didn't even have to be out in the streets, I wouldn't. I'd just do everything from home.
But you like performing, don't you?
I do like performing.
But you like the making of the stuff, the creation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I don't know. That's the fun part to me is
Yeah.
the writing and the figuring out and then, what goes where and just like putting together a puzzle. And, I like performing it too. I like sharing it. I like the feeling of being on stage, especially with the band. Like that's an amazing, I like getting feedback from people. There's always people coming to tell me I touched them or they really heard what I was saying and it resonated with them. Like that's beautiful.
Well, you have a really beautiful message.
Thank you.
I think that I really got that from not only in listening to your music like for the last month, but like in my weekend of prepping for these, because I'm doing like 4 today.
Oh, wow.
Well, I moved it all to one day because it was taking up too much of every
Got you.
day to me.
Right. That's smart.
So yeah,
That's smart.
So now I just have like a podcast day,
Dope.
a podcast / rehearsal day.
Oh, okay.
Because then after the podcast, I go to
You
rehearsal.
rehearse. And you had a show
kinda
on
like
Friday,
I
right?
did.
How'd that go?
That was awesome.
Really?
Have you played 310?
No.
Austin City Limits
No,
Live?
no, no,
Downstairs from the Moody Theater.
No.
Oh, it's great.
Really?
It's really great.
I need to check.
It is-
I wanted to come on Friday, but I had so much going on.
I understand.
But yeah,
I
would
wanted to
love
come see you on Wednesday, and then I had that.
Right. It happens.
I couldn't figure out if you were playing, and then I was too scared to drive. Like I kept on going, like, what if I drive all the way out there and it's not her?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to be like, Anastasia, look.
Right. All the way in Cedar Park, Texas, girl. Where are you?
Well,
Yeah.
I appreciate that you came all the way down from Pflugerville.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't realize you were
absolutely.
going so far.
Yeah, it's not a problem. Yeah, I figured that today being a Monday and it being like 2:30, the traffic would be a hop, skip, and a jump. It's not. The traffic was not a breeze coming down here, but I don't mind.
It's not a breeze.
No, it's not.
That's I'll say the one thing I really liked about COVID was I was here by myself almost the whole time,
Right.
except for 1 month of it. So I would just freak out after a little while and just go drive.
Yeah.
Like I'd go fill up my car and just go drive. Sometimes
Right.
out in the hill country or something.
Oh, wow.
And then like driving through downtown, there was no cars or anything. It was all beautiful.
It was a beautiful moment.
Now there's traffic at like 2 on a Monday.
Everywhere. Yeah, it's crazy. But, that's where we live. And then, I was thinking on my way down here, I'm not in traffic. I am traffic. So I can't even be mad about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you listen to? Like what have you been listening to lately? Anything that
my
inspires
God. I am on this really heavy Peter Gabriel Talking Heads thing. And yeah, I fell down the rabbit. It's always like, I get obsessed with these certain sounds and certain artists just at different times.
Yeah.
That's just happens to be where I'm at right now. I love their live stuff. I love the grooviness of it. I love the, when I listen to Talking Heads, I love just the looseness of how they do their vocals and little accents and stabs. And it's not always singing. Sometimes it's talking. So, they're doing different things with their voices. And I'm like, yeah, this is me all day.
Do you have HBO?
I don't have HBO.
Oh, okay.
No.
He did a concert.
Did he?
Like with this, like on Broadway.
I need to see that.
Where everyone has mics and they use their bodies and it's really, he's so over the top creative, David Byrne.
Yeah, yeah.
Were you listening to Stop Making Sense, the live movie album from the movie?
No, I don't think I've gotten to that.
Oh.
I can't think of the name of the project that I'm on right now.
What Peter Gabriel you listen to?
So I'm on, definitely So.
Right.
But then there's another live album that I'm blanking out on it.
It's funny when you go before So,
Yeah.
those records are so weird, man.
Yeah.
They're awesome,
Yeah.
but they're weird
They
compared
are.
to So.
They are. But I love it. I love to see like where artists kind of start from and how
Yeah.
they whittle it down
Yeah.
to what we know them for. And then I don't know that I've really got to research this. I'm listening to One Night in Bangkok by Murray Head.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm listening to it. I'm listening to this big symphonic production they put at the beginning. I'm listening to the lyrics. I understand it's about chess and like I need to know the story behind this song.
It was like a musical, right? There was a musical they were making that never got made.
Is that what
I was a
happened?
teenager when that came out.
Okay.
Yeah. There is a
sounds
story
about
behind
right.
it. There was something that was going on, and that song is weird.
It is weird, but to me, it's good weird. It's got all these elements, and I'm trying to figure out how they did the chorus like this, and it's so clean with the instrumentation and the vocals, and I don't know. So that's where I'm at right now, just learning about these pieces. Like I said, everything that I do is really ambitious and really, really grand. I don't ever want to stay in the box, so the things that are on the project may have mostly been, verse, hook, bridge, hook.
But now
over. I want to step outside and I want to feel like I'm allowed. I know that I'm allowed, but I want to feel like my fans and the people who listen, I want to feel allowed by them to explore and experiment. And instead of them saying, what, just accept it. It's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. That's
Yeah.
what you should be doing.
I think so.
I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah.
So what do you got next? I know that you just put this out in May.
Yes.
And you worked on it for a long time.
Right.
But what's
next?
Are you writing?
So, producing new music with my bandmates. So what we're trying to figure out is what our actual process is going to be.
Yeah.
So I'm used to receiving these completely glossy, prettied up tracks that all I have to do is come in and, here's the melody, here's the lyrics. But this is probably going to be a little more involved. And then in what order do we do these things? Do we get together and jam and then say, oh, okay, that sounds good, let's keep doing that? Or does the piano player do something and then the bass player adds something and the guitar and then they send it to me? How are we going to work this thing to make it, a cohesive sound? So that's the next thing, is figuring out how to work with the guys to create.
I think the way that, it's a longer process because you're in person, but
right.
The sort of U2 and REM, they play, and the Bono or Michael Stipe oh no, play that again. Oh yeah, that's the thing. You know what I mean?
So maybe I need to watch or just listen to the greats and read about them and figure out how they did it or how they started or how they created.
I've done that I was in a band that we all with Einar, and we all wrote songs and stuff together, and there was 4 guys trying to write a song a lot of wiener jokes.
Yeah.
A lot of, you know what I mean? You get off topic a lot.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I found that my role kind of was to be like, okay, whatever you guys just played, that's the verse.
Okay.
Okay, let's go with that. I've got a melody, and then, you record little bits as you go and you sing, and okay, let's get to the next part. What's the chorus,
Okay.
So, yeah,
That's an idea.
You kind of end up being like a director musically to set up what you want to sing to.
Right.
And what inspires you to start singing whatever melody.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
So that's our next thing. And I'm excited about that. I've always wanted to do a live, I guess this wouldn't be a live album, but it'll be an
like
album
a band,
with live
instruments.
Yeah. So this will be my first time with that. And then, with the project being sort of trap heavy, and I know that we won't be able to, I want to grow out of trap and figure out what's beyond the trap sound for me. So whatever this sound is that we come up with, that's the thing. So I want it to be right. But I think the key for us is just going to be getting started with it. So I figure every time we get together to rehearse for these shows that are coming up, okay, let's just take 30 minutes and set it aside and just have fun.
A song.
Yeah. Just see what we come up with, record it, see what bits and pieces we like or don't like, and then we'll just build from there. So I'm excited about it. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm excited too.
Yeah.
This has been really fun talking to you.
Oh yeah, likewise. Yeah. I'm so glad.
You're a great artist. I also love people that have like something else to offer, not just how badass they are, like just really like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to lift everyone as opposed to just get myself ahead.
Look, I was thinking about it last night. I'm this sentient cluster of atoms, for 80, 90 years. You know what I mean? And while I'm here in this place, I just want to make music for other people to enjoy. You know what I mean? I might not ever meet my great grandkids, but there'll be some music, so a link they can click on or something to get to know me, to hear like where I was, how I felt about things. So like, that's what inspires me to do it.
Yeah. Well, you're such a young mom. You might meet
Never
your
know,
great
right?
grandkids. Yeah.
Now, I'm not wishing that on myself. I'm not rushing it. I'll wait. No, but yeah, I'm enjoying it, and I feel like it's what I was put here to do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. People can find you at AnastasiaHera.com. This is Anastasia. The EP is available now wherever it is you stream and download your jams. Anastasia and the Heroes play shows at places.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you keep your website updated?
I do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's good. Mm-hmm. I've been going to people's websites and there's no shows, and then they come here and they're like, oh, I got 5 shows tomorrow. And you're like, well, why isn't it on your thing?
Well, the key to that is being able to update it yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who doesn't? Actually, I'm in a band. That I don't handle that part of it, but they're like, hey, we need to change this thing on the website. Oh, I'll call the guy and tell him. And I'm like, dude, I have a Squarespace.
Right.
I just go on there and do a thing.
Yeah. And, and that's the thing that I've enjoyed about being an independent artist all these years is you learn all these different aspects of the business. And then once it's time for you to hand that off to somebody, your graphic design, your whatever, you do that, but then you know what goes into it and you're able to create those, and so I'm at that point now, but the website will probably be one of the last because there's always something changing, always something coming up.
Yeah. I think about that now because in the era that I grew up in, I mean, you had to do I did stuff myself, but I that was the thing was the goal was to not even know where you are tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that was the goal was to be so removed from how this whole thing works. And then you realize that when you put it in someone else's hands and you don't control it, there's disaster.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because they don't have this, there can be.
Right.
Not always,
well,
but
it's a balance. It's a balance. And I guess a lot of us artists deal with that. It's the balance of control. How much control do I retain? Because I know that it's going to get done and it's going to get done right, as opposed to how much do I let the next person come in and do for me to assist me.
Right.
So
it's funny that I wonder somebody like you who's done so much on their own that if a label were to come in, if you would be able to handle that well or not.
That's a good question.
Losing the control might be a little bit of like a
yeah, and I don't know about that because I think I feel like a label might try to change a little bit about my formula and how I come across, and I don't think
sometimes they do.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're like, we love everything you do, but be just like this other person so we can sell it.
And see,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
But that's just those are people without imagination.
There you go.
There'd be no talking heads or
Right.
Peter Gabriel that we hear of if everyone thought like that.
Exactly.
Because somebody had to sign those guys and be like, well, you guys are weird.
Right.
And I don't know what you're doing, but just do it.
Yeah.
Try and make the best stuff you can make.
And I think it's great to be in a position where I can maybe even decide to remain an independent artist because I'm able to make a living from my shows and my merch and my appearances and my features and things. And that would be the dream.
You own your publishing. You own your masters.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, it's good that I'm in that place and I'm not desperate and hungry to find someone to give me money. You know what I mean?
That's a great position to be in.
Yeah, I agree. I love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, congratulations. As I said, people can find you at AnastasiaHera.com. And this is Anastasia's the EP. It's gorgeous. And we'll be hanging out and doing stuff for a while. So So I'm looking forward. I'm really glad that you came over and
Me
got
too.
to meet. Now I get to call Einar and be like, I love her even more now.
Yeah, I can't wait till we can all meet together. I'm really looking forward to that.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing the
Thanks
show.
for having me out.
Eating good in the waters where the sharks get it in. About to swing out wide in the intersection. Glide by knocking
That's
pictures
Anastasia Hera. Check out her EP. This is Anastasia, out now. Go to AnastasiaHera.com for all of your Anastasia Hera needs. And don't forget, gang, she's playing next Wednesday, July 28th in Austin, Texas at Geraldine. She's having an EP release show for this fabulous EP. This is Anastasia. Available now. Go to AnastasiaHera.com for all of your Anastasia Hera needs. I want to thank her for coming by. It was great getting to sit down and meet and talk with her. She's a great hang and a very, very fabulous artist. And gang, when you're out there checking out AnastasiaHera.com, don't forget that you can subscribe to this podcast wherever you find podcasts, be it Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Overcast, Stitcher, anywhere. New podcasts all the time. In fact, we're dropping a From the Vault episode. Yeah, that's right. Check your thing tomorrow night or Thursday morning. Brand new, not a brand new episode, just a new episode of From the Vault from 2015 with the very talented Joe King Carrasco. All right. I want to thank Anastasia for coming by. Get out there and check out her EP. This is Anastasia. Have a great week, whatever it is you're doing. Let's get down.
big tuna. I'm infatuated with the life. I belong in the pond where the whales get it on. Down deep on the floor, waiting for my time. Flags, big energy. Big tuna flags, big energy. Big tuna flags, big energy. Big energy. Hey, big tuna. Not the shit in the can. No. Uncaught, unbought. Out here live every. About to go to stain, rolling off in the sea. Real shit, big facts. Little fishy finna hear all about where I've been. Let the fishy stay, Big Mac. Yeah, cause I'm down to come around just to f them up again. About to swing out wide in the intersection. Glide by knocking pictures off the wall. Big tuna roam around what she like, nigga, what permission? Big tuna finna bounce and see it all. I could never comprehend little ponds, how you swim. Big tuna, I'm infatuated with the life. I belong in the pond where the whales get it on. Down deep on the floor, waiting for my time. Flags, big energy. Big tuna flags, big energy. Big tuna flags, big energy. Big energy. Never comprehend little ponds. I'm infatuated with life. Yeah.